working here? Boom. All right, cool. We are live. Cool. It is live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's live stream. Basically, today I just want to do a little bit. I know it's a little impromptu, and usually these are later at night. I figured I would do a little bit of a Q&A or something if you have any questions about my anything, really. I just hit a month of immersion, so if you have any questions about that, anything about study or anything of that nature, or anything, man, really, really and truly about anything, then I will answer. Aaron says, "Why are you so sexy?" I wish that was true. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm married and have one kid now, so it's not like I'm out trying to do whatever. So, thank you for the bode of confidence, though. Thank you for that. So, but yeah, just wanted to do this. Again, no in particular topic today. I just thought, maybe some people would like a little bit of a sit down and chat. I'm trying to load my YouTube studio because I'm going to go through some of my comments as well that I haven't answered, and maybe I can go through some of those as well. Where are we at here? Comments, there we go. Hey, from Scotland. What is up, Ross? David Barron from Scotland. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Also, just a quick thing. So I'm going to be doing, like, the first or second of every month, I'll be doing, like, my that month and then up to that point review of how I've been doing in MIA and what all I've been doing in terms of the mass immersion approach. And then I will probably do a day or two later a follow-up live stream like this in case there are any questions from that video in terms of particular study habits or anything like that. So and some people may not have watched the video yet, and that's perfectly fine, but if you have any questions about what I did in month one of MIA or anything of that nature that maybe I didn't elaborate on enough, or if I didn't give statistics or something of that nature, you are more than welcome to ask that here. And it doesn't have to be mass immersion related. So this is just any kind of Q&A, really and truly. So let me see. My internet is being not good. I can't get my comments to load. There we go. And that way, if there are no questions that are coming through, I will start reading through. Need to get this set up because I will show the comments on the screen. Boom, there we go. All right, that way I can get that set up if anybody doesn't have anything. So, all right, cool. So there is nothing as of yet. Let's go through some comments. Let me downsize my face here. Oh, wait, wait, what is happening? Oh, crap, I didn't mean to do that. All right, cool. Well, actually, there's questions coming through now. Why did it do that? Why? Oh, because I changed the wrong window capture. That would be why. Sorry, guys. Apparently, this is my first time doing any kind of, there we go. That needs to stay that. Where's the other? This is the window capture I need. Sorry, guys. Not that one. Well, yeah, that one's fine. Okay. Now, if I have anything, there we go. Let me move that over. Now, if we got anything going, we can go from there. Okay. So, let's see here. Okay, let me try again. Does a person need people in his everyday life to practice speaking a foreign language, or can he rely on internet resources like italki? I think it depends on your goals. I've wavered on this a lot lately, and this is my current stance on that, and that is that I know people say speak from the beginning first, but if you don't know things, you can't speak it. So that's why, like, I'm probably not even going to focus on output in terms of my Japanese for 6 months, maybe a year. Like, I'm just going for pure. I mean, if the opportunity arises, sure, but like, I'm not going to go out of my way, and that's because I don't have enough language to produce. Right? I can ask about the train station or where the bathroom is, or say that I want some food or something like that, but I don't have enough vocabulary in terms of picking that up. If you're wanting to output and whatever, and that's your thing, I mean, italki is fine. The way that I would utilize italki is to get a native speaker, and not even for I wouldn't even try to get it for the sake of having them teach as much as just it being an opportunity to speak with a native speaker. Have them speak in your target language and you try to communicate with them. I think that that's what I would do. What's the first thing you do when you learn a language? Every language that I've started so far, yeah, I've always used applications. It depends on the language, whether it be if it's an Asian language, I've always used LingQ, and if it's like a romance language or something like that, I've used Duolingo. But I do use LingQ as well. I started LingQ for Greek, and I used it predominant. I think I used Duolingo a handful of times. I actually did a live stream or two with Duolingo, but I don't know. I just right now with Japanese, like I do have a solid base, or I know at least vocabulary to where the language isn't completely foreign to me, and so I'm just using native content right now. Have you thought about moving subs from Netflix to LingQ and reading and watching the episode? What do you feel would be a good idea on how to use Netflix with LingQ? Yeah, I've thought about that, but right now it's not my focus. I probably will do that in the future. The issue that I have with that right now is I don't want to take a lot of my immersion time and then use that. So like, if I'm doing LingQ and I import subtitles, like I'm more inclined to look every word up. And I don't necessarily know if that would be... Why is my camera so weird? I don't necessarily know if that would be like a good thing or not. And so I want a majority of my immersion time to be spent actually immersing and then just look a word up every now and then as it jumps out at me. As to where if I use LingQ, I'm more inclined to look every word up. Like I will probably read larger texts in LingQ, like if I'm reading light novels or something of that nature. But I probably won't use it for like Netflix or anything like that right now anyway, in terms of my level. Once my level gets a little bit higher and I become a little bit, honestly, okay, I know I talk in circles here, but if it's a show that I've already watched, I would be more inclined to do that, right? Like if I downloaded the subs from Erased, I would be more inclined to do that because it's familiar to me. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, let's do a couple, or I might save these, man. I might just do a whole video answering questions. God, man, I have so many comments that I need to answer. Okay. Yeah, I might just do that. So I might just chill here for a little bit, and if a lot of people don't jump in, I know it's kind of random, and like I said, I know a lot of people watch the later, kind of things, so. But, yeah, nothing else so far. Let me see here. Channel videos. Let me go. I'm going to just go to my MIA 1 month video real quick. I will go through. Maybe I can elaborate on some of the comments that came through. Let's get rid of that filter. What's going on, James Anthony? Welcome, welcome. Luke. Yeah, so Jeremy Gordon said, are you planning to do any sentences from Taikim or the Tango books that Matt recommends? And that is something, it's possible. Like, I do read a little bit of Taikim, but, or Taikim, but, like, not enough, like, from where I'm not, it's not a main focus. I don't know if I'll take sentences from that just yet. Maybe once my vocabulary gets up, and if I see anything through reading, that is like a target one sentence, I would probably grab that sentence, but as of right now, I'm more so just reading it for, and I'm not even studying it really, I'm literally just reading it and kind of seeing what sticks. That's kind of my main goal. Let's see. Good stuff. Okay, yeah, nothing much there. Like I said, I might do a video because I have a lot of comments, and that way I can kind of elaborate on them more. Because I do get comments, and like sometimes it's just really, really hard for me to answer like as in depth as I want to. Vatiscap. Hi from Taiwan. Hello, welcome, welcome. Are those Rubik's Cubes behind you? Yes, I am. So that is maybe a little fun fact about me. I am a Rubik's Cube fanatic. I have obviously 3x3 all the way up to, this is a 9x9. Which I can solve in like, I don't know, 30-ish minutes or so. I really, really love like puzzles like this. And then I I've got some different ones. Like I have this Rubik's Cube that has some like flags and stuff on it. And these are actually harder because for example, the Canadian flag, this has to, you not only have to worry about getting the sides right, but the orientation has to be right, because you could solve this and have this piece incorrectly. Like this could be upside down. So you have to worry about the placement of that, which is pretty cool. I have this thing, which is called a Fisher's Cube, which actually shapeshifts. So as you can see, it turns into different shapes. So there's that. And then I don't know where it is. I have another cube. My favorite cube is called a mirror cube. Yeah, here it is. Here's some of my other ones. This is a 5x5, and this is a 6x6, and then there's a 4x4. Yeah, this right here is called a mirror cube, and it's a 3x3, but it also shapeshifts. Really, really cool. And they're all the same color, but the size of the shapes kind of give away where it is. But I actually have a video on this channel that explains language learning via a Rubik's Cube randomly. So, but yes, that is my Rubik's shelf. I have a whole bunch of stuff, man. I love Rubik's Cubes. I have this right here, which is called the world's smallest Rubik's Cube, and this is an absolute hassle to solve because it barely moves. But yes, put this on Japanese. I'll leave my Japanese side out because it's what I'm studying. Starting on Japanese, do you recommend using English subs or not? Having a hard time following any context without. That is a great question. I think that in the beginning, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching it with your native subs, English subs, or whatever. I think that that's perfectly fine. I would just kind of glance down. I would try not to just permanently concentrate on reading, because you do want to, like, the thing is your brain is eventually, and over the course of time, going to unlock patterns that you don't even have to think about. Like, it's not like you're making an active effort to. Your brain is just naturally going to do that. And so you start out, like, especially if you don't have any kind of information in terms of Japanese, like if you don't even have a base vocabulary, sure, yeah, definitely read some. You can pick up vocabulary that way, especially like one-word little sentences, right? Like if you're reading something and someone reacts to something and they say a word, it may not still be exactly a one-for-one translation, but in terms of that context of how it was used, it can still help you out. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that in the beginning. Yeah, I would say go for it. I would still try to get a little bit of immersion without like that, like just actually literally just try to focus on it. And I know that it can be hard, but try to find something that you would enjoy, like where the words don't matter, right? And I had heard a great analogy for this actually yesterday, and that is that if you've seen the movie Up, this is my friend Evan, who I talk about on this channel all the time. When you watch the movie Up, you watch it, right? And you, like at the beginning with the dude and his wife, and they go through this whole thing, right? And they get married, they want to travel, all this stuff. You know what's happening, and there's no words spoken at all. So try to duplicate that. Like if it's something you enjoy, just try to duplicate that. You may not understand it, but try to find something that's visual appealing to you. I know dramas can be hard. Watch some YouTube videos in your target in Japanese or whatever, and I think that can help out. That's what I did, man. Most of my immersion time actually comes from YouTube videos. I watch Mario Maker videos. I watch Animal Crossing videos, because it's something that even without understanding, I can get a little bit of enjoyment out, because I like the context and the content of what's happening. So that would definitely be my recommendations there. I could solve a one by let's see, how are you reading? Oh, sorry, I missed some. Any kind of context. How are you finding reading manga in Japanese? The last 2 days have actually been pretty busy, and I just had time for immersion. Um, I did read, but I turned the Japanese subtitles on what I was watching, and so that was my reading. I've actually not opened my manga just yet. I have read, just not my manga. I've been skimming the subtitles. Like if I immerse for an hour, I would spend maybe 20 minutes of that time, like an episode of a show or something, with subtitles on. That way I can kind of practice at least skimming through and see if I, recognize anything in terms of that. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't actually started that just yet. I have that too. It's hard to turn. Yeah, that cube is terrible. I can solve a 1x1 cube in 0.001 seconds. Heck yeah. They're so cool. I tried to get into Rubik's a few years ago, but I never had the patience to learn how to solve them. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it is a, it's just an algorithm for everything. Like it's not too bad. Funny fact, I have another channel. I have a channel called Seabolt TV that I don't really upload to anymore, but the biggest video on that channel is my Rubik's Cube collection. It's got like 30,000 views, which is random, but it's like it's honestly kind of like Rubik's YouTube is kind of like language YouTube. Like it's a very niche thing. So, James Anthony, whenever you start your next language after Japanese, are you going to immerse firstly with beginner materials, i.e. mini stories or dialogues, or just dive right into native content? Yeah, so knowing what I know now, and again, people's opinions on things change, and who knows, man, maybe in another month or so I'll have a harder time, but if I can apply this to any language, I'm probably going to, because I feel like if I were to do what I'm doing right now with my Spanish, I feel like I would be conversational, like insanely comfortable conversational within just a couple of months, like based on the level that I'm already at in Spanish, which is not good. Like I have a lot of understanding, but I can't really duplicate it. But yeah, I think I think that's probably, I would go with the immersion route. And in terms of like mini stories or so where I've kind of altered my stance on mini stories are, I want content made by natives for natives. And I know that the mini stories were written by Steve, and they're perfectly fine. I've used them, but it's still translated. And I know that his idea is to have them translated the way that they would be said in the target language, but I still want just native content for native people right now. Have you heard about WaniKani? If so, do you think, what do you think of it for some extra vocab and kanji? Yeah, I tried WaniKani, and I think it's perfectly fine. It just, it's really, really slow moving, and which honestly, it probably teaches you better. I got overwhelmed with WaniKani because it would teach you onyomi and kunyomi, and that got a little bit, man, that like, it just got overwhelming to me because it would, instead of just recognizing the character and know kind of what it means based on the way it looks, it would teach you like the onyomi and kunyomi, and then it would kind of quiz you on that, as to where doing recognition RTK, the symbol for I comes up and it's just boom, 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 like it's just I. It doesn't teach you how to say it, and I know people criticize that, but whatever. Oh, let's see. Your beard looks amazing. Thank you. Lavate las manos. Personally, I'm interested in astronomy. I have watched some videos, though my Japanese was kind of crap, but actually understood quite a lot, and it's improving day 6. That's the key, man. If you find something that you enjoy, it's like, I mean, it just kind of, it's because it's not like you're learning. You are learning, but it's not like you're sitting down and being like, okay, like for example, if I had to sit down and listen to political discussions in Japanese, or conversation about the inside of a car engine or something like that, like I would have no interest at all. Like it's not anything that would interest me in the slightest. And so I love Mario Maker. I love Animal Crossing. And there's a couple of YouTubers that I watch that don't do stuff like that, but it's just I find them entertaining, and that helps because it's something you're already interested in, right? I love seeing Mario run around and jump around and do whatever, like, so it's already kind of got there. So yeah, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, that's what you should immerse with, because that's what you're going to be naturally drawn to talk to anyway, right? So like if you're speaking to your friends and it's something that you're interested in and you're discussing about your day, right? Like I love languages, so when my friends come over, even though I know they're not into it and we're recouping what we've been into, which it'll be a long recoup next time, like a couple of months worth, because I haven't seen anybody in a couple of months, but when we're kind of communicating about what we're doing, I'll be like, oh, I started doing this, right? I've started learning Japanese, and here's how. So like you're learning vocabulary that you would instinctively be using anyway. That's the way to go. Did you mean study habits rather than habits? Probably. English is hard for me. I did mean that. All right, good call. Good call. Usually that'll put you a red line under there. Not sure what happened. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, English is hard for me. When you were immersing at the beginning, when do you start capturing sentence words in Anki? I'm still learning Kanji, so not rushing, but not sure how to tell when to go to the next step. Sure. So what I discussed with Matt on Friday was this. So I'm starting month 2. And right now, I'm not getting sentence cards. What I'm doing is I'm picking out vocabulary as it pops out to me. And again, just to preface this, I'm not sure if, how long you've watched my material. Your name looks familiar, but I don't know if you've watched my stuff for a long time or not. But I've been studying Japanese off and on for 10 years. So what works for me may not work for you. What I did the first month was concentrated fully on Kanji, which was going well until I kind of hit a wall. I was 500 plus into Remember the Kanji, and so then I deleted the deck because Matt released the new deck, and so I started going from there, and then so I've started that over. But from where I'm exposed to those Kanji, and I knew about the first 200 or 300 maybe, and so to kind of get through those, I'm putting that at 15 cards a day. And then, because I was doing 30 cards a day on the other, and that was just killing me with reviews and stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm picking out 5 words a day. And there are websites you can go to where you can look up basically sample sentences. So I'm looking up the word, and what's going to be on the front is just the sound of the word, right? If I'm studying the word for like today or currently, or like, not today, but like this time, like which is like konkai. If I was studying that, on the front, it would just say Konkai, and then on the back, it would have the reading, and then I'm going to have a sample sentence. And there's not going to be audio for that sample sentence, but it's just so I can kind of skim over it and see how it's used, where it's used, and stuff like that. Obviously, I won't know all the words in that sentence, and that's the issue with sentence mining as a beginner, is you don't have the vocabulary to have the one word out of the sentence isn't really understandable. And so what I'm doing this month is I'm picking 5 words a day, and I'm going to study those in Anki. Now, if there's like a 6th word that's absolutely just like, you've heard this 100 times today, write this word down, then yes, I will write it down. But I'm shooting for 5 a day, and so that'll be 15 Kanji reviews and 5 reviews after that. Once I finish Recognition RTK, then I will probably boost that up to probably 10 words a day, because I don't want to overload myself. And then also, there's still a lot of words that I pick up that I don't need to make a card for. I've said in the past where I remembered how I remembered like hairu, which there's apparently another version called haireru, which is like to enter or go in, which I learned through Mario Maker because you're trying to go into a pipe, and nagaru, which is like to throw, from throwing P switches on Mario. And so I don't need those, because like those words were so, like, I can't explain it. But those words jumped out at me so much that I had to pause the TV, because it was just like it was there. Like I've always heard people talking about words popping out, and I never understood what that meant until Nagaru was the first one. And man, it hit so hard. And I was like, I gotta look this up. And so there's words that I don't necessarily need to. I'll probably put them, so when I'm watching, I'm usually watching on my TV, and I don't have my computer in front of me, so I use this app called Japanese. It's just called Japanese. It's a red thing. Like, it's a red icon. I'm sure if you search Japanese dictionary, and then you just search the word in here, boom, boom, boom. And so what I'll do is I'll put it into that app, and then, which I know I said I deleted all my apps, but I meant gamification apps, not a dictionary. And so I'll put it in there, and then, you know what? If I come across the word again later, and I see that I've already added it to my dictionary, I'm like, I clearly need to make a card for this. But if it's like a word like maji, which is like, really? Really? Okay, you did that? Really? Like, then I don't need a card for that. Like, I already know that. It's so embedded in my head. Hopefully that answered your question. Sorry, I talk so much. Lewis says, yeah, that's the real power of MIA, I think, is that it isn't and doesn't feel like studying. You just need to find something you're interested in and you will get back to it. No motivation needed. That's exactly right. So, like, motivation, again, a running theme on this channel is how I switch language to language after like a week because I have no motivation. This is not this is how I would naturally spend my day, just it's now in a different language and it's fun. And they've done studies. I'm not a neurologist or a brain whatever, but like, and honestly, it doesn't even take a study to tell you. If you're having fun doing something, you will know immediately and you will remember that forever. For example, I don't know how many people here are from America, and I don't know how old you are, but think back to elementary school. Do you remember what they taught you in math? Or do you remember going to gym that day and using that giant parachute and juggling that ball on it? I don't know if that was a thing, maybe just in my area, but like, that's the thing. You know what I mean? And it's because you had fun. It was something memorable. So having fun makes it memorable. Plus, again, like where I would, really get beat up with apps and stuff like that is like, especially, whether it be LingQ or Duolingo. I mean, they have a picture, but it's a generic picture of like a computer generated person pretending to speak. But like seeing the word, I see this Mario when I hear Nagaru, even in other contexts, like whether it's conjugated or just in its infinitive form like that, I see that video of when this girl named Asuka, not the WWE wrestler, but this Japanese girl named Asuka was picking up these P-switches and throwing them, and there was like 30 in a row, and she was picking spin, throw, like, and so like when I hear that word, that comes to my mind without even me even thinking about it. And so, again, having fun, it just makes it better. You were into blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, yeah, I said that. Lewis says, yeah, Wanikani gets really overwhelming, especially if you miss like a day or two of reviews. 700 plus is my worst. Yeah, that's, and I don't know, man. I think I'm not here to trash anybody, like, and or not anybody, but any program, but I used it for a little bit, man, and it was just it felt overwhelming to me. Like picking up my phone or getting on my computer and running through 15, 20 reviews of RTK and then 15 new cards, no problem at all. And from the way that it's spaced, generally, even if you were to miss a day with that low, like when I was doing 30, if I missed a day, I would have 100 reviews. But like with that low of an amount of new cards per day, even if you missed a day, like it would suck to get caught up, but it wouldn't be too bad. Josh Johnson, cool, good answer. And then we did that sheet thing in Ohio. Yeah, so I mean, but you remember that, right? And it's because it was super, super fun. Like it wasn't a weird thing where you had to like, memorize like the PEMDAS thing, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, the parentheses, exponents, PIM, multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, whatever the thing, multiplication, division. So like it wasn't anything like that, which I obviously remember, but the reason that I remember is because of they made a fun little like, what is it called? Like, I don't even know that word in English, like, not an anagram. You know what I mean? Where they take PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sal. Like they make like a little fun little thing. Have you tried a lesson with Japanese from Zero? I do. I don't know if I have the books out here. I do. I have Japanese from Zero. I have Japanese from Zero, the first book, and I like it. I think George is. I actually, to be honest, man, I think if you don't know hiragana or let me say it. I don't want to be criticized for the way I say it. Hiragana or katakana. If you don't know hiragana or katakana, you should, I think, maybe use Japanese from Zero, at least the first book, because the way that they introduce those characters, I think, is really, really cool, where each lesson introduces 5, and it'll be a, e, u, e, o, and then kake, kuke, ko, and then sase, suse, so, whatever. Like, I think that's really cool. And so you can gradually learn how to read them as you're learning other content. So, which when I first started learning Japanese in 2009, I just basically, I just went to a website, man, and I just force fed myself hiragana for, I mean, just hours, man. And that's the way that I learned it. But yeah, I think Japanese from Zero is really, really cool. And I think that, I think even if you don't buy the books, I think if you just if you go to YouTube and watch George's, I probably wouldn't watch a lot a day because again, if I was going to spend 15 minutes on something, I would rather just purely immerse in stuff. But I also understand why people would, try to get it from other sections. But I would just watch a video, man. He teaches a lot. He goes over grammatical points and makes them perfectly understandable and fine and stuff like that. And he has a fun teaching style, so I definitely like that. When you get more advanced, you should use Morphman. Yeah, I probably will. To be honest with you, that's something that's probably in the future. I want to wait until I hit. I don't know. I definitely want to hit. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I want to hit a certain amount of words, but I don't know how to really track that because I'm learning from so many different places, right? Like Nagaru and Haeru and Maji and Konkai and Onaji, like all these words that I've learned via immersion, I haven't made cards for, but I know what they mean. So how do I count those? I don't know. So, but it's something I do want to use, Morphman. Jeremy Gordon, hey, what's up? Welcome. Tofugu also has some decent mnemonics for hiragana on their site. Interesting. Tofugu is something that I know what you're talking about, and I've looked into it a little bit, but not too much. But it's something that I might look into in a little bit. And it's free also. Tofugu, I'm assuming. Because technically, Japanese from Zero, you can actually access most of the... If you go to their Yes Japan site, you can access most of that stuff. And he does those lessons on YouTube. Like, obviously, you get a little bit extra from the book, but, And he, honestly, though, even, like, if you're... In terms of if you're doing MIA, even Matt talks about, Because I was asking him about using Tai Kim, and he was like, just read it. Don't do the lessons. Don't do any of that stuff. Read and just see what sticks, and you'll pick up the vocabulary through immersing. So, but it's, again, I feel like it's kind of whatever. I did like Japanese from Zero video series. Good for starting out. Absolutely, yeah. I think I like George. I think George is a great dude. I know that he has the Korean from Zero series, and he has Kanji. What is it? I think Kanji from Zero, where he teaches Kanji and stuff. That may be something I look into if I want to get a little more, not extreme, but like a little more into the study of Kanji. But right now, Recognition RTK is doing just fine. Jeremy Gordon, Japanese ammo with Misa on YouTube is also super solid. I really like Japanese ammo with Misa, and I really like oh my god, Real Japanese, Miku Real Japanese. Both of those, which I don't do a lot of her lessons. I'm gonna be honest. So the only YouTuber, and I'm not just saying this because he's gonna be on one of my streams, and I'm not just saying this. I think Tokini Andy does amazing videos for Japanese grammar and stuff. I don't think he's done any in a little bit. But Tokini Andy does really, really cool stuff, and the way that he does it, like he'll even do like a little skit out of it, and it's just really, really memorable for me. I think he does awesome stuff, and he's an American guy, but like he knows his Japanese. I know I was on one of his streams and somebody criticized his pitch accent, but not everybody cares about pitch accent, man. But yeah, those are. But what I listen to Miku Real Japanese for is she does listening practice videos where she just speaks about a topic or whatever, and I found that to be just some kind of like immersion. And she always puts like pictures and stuff. Like it's not just her like speaking to the camera like this. She'll have pictures overlaid and stuff like that. For Wanikani, I do it only on computer to be fast, paying otherwise, and what motivated to continue is when I tried reading, like that there were so much words I could understand in articles and manga. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to Wanikani, to be 100% honest. It's hard for me to get into. I honestly thought about trying it. Like in month 1, there was a point where I was like, maybe I'll try Wanikani. But the way that this new recognition RTK is set up is really, really cool, because they, like, Matt has it set up now where it gives you all the primitives and the information. And actually some of the characters are explained better, and it tells you, like, if it's used in conjunction with something else. Just, you know, how to go about using it. Know the pronunciation of these words. Oh, and to know the pronunciation of these words, right? No, for sure, I understand that. By the way, I am French. I learned English with a kind of in. I had basic grammar from class and just read mangas online in English because it wasn't available in French. Got my class in a month. That's awesome. That's super, super cool. Yeah, I think Immersion's, you know, I wish that hindsight's 2020, like, and I understand that, but I really, really wish that last July or last September, both of the times when I was going to start this, I wish I would have done it, and I wish I would have done it, you know, years ago. My friend Evan has been learning through Immersion before Matt versus Japan was a thing on YouTube. Like, it's just because he actually found Matt versus Japan's YouTube channel and was like, this is how I learn. Holy crap. Okay, this is the thing. Like, so I mean, it's my friend Evan speaks English is his native. He speaks Portuguese, Spanish, Korean, Japanese, and a little bit of French. Anything else? I don't think so. But yeah. Dr. Phil, I've been thinking about making pop it and lock it videos, but I need ideas. Each one will have different lighting, angle, etc. What other ways should I pop it and lock it? I don't know what that means. Right off. Cool. But yeah, so the immersion is going well. Does anybody else have any questions about immersion? If not, like I said, you're more than welcome to ask anything else. Like, it doesn't have to be immersion based. Just that's what I'm doing right now. So I figured maybe if I didn't answer anything in the video, beforehand, you know, if you wanted to see anything, but just let me know. But other than that, I do have some of my manga here. But I haven't started reading. Honestly, the one I'm probably going to start with is probably this one. Does this one have furigana? This one does have furigana. It's Ippo, and this Luke Truman had told me about this before, and then I'm in that manga club that Chad Zimmerman does, where it's like $25 a month, but he sends you 4 like native Japanese books, right? Like, he has these business deals with these companies, and he gets them freighted over here, and you couldn't import 4 books for $25, and it's less than $10 a piece, and it's, I mean, native. These were on a shelf in Japan, like, so it's hard to argue against that. About Morphman, I feel you should be careful due to the collocations, expressions that have a unique meaning. There you go. So you learn new words in your native language every day. Collocations. Just because you know how a word is used once doesn't mean that you know it completely. 100%. Yeah, context definitely makes a difference. That is a very, very, very good point. I'm sure some of the words that I know, like with like maji and kankai and stuff like that, I'm sure that there's multiple ways that you can use them. When will you, if you haven't already, change your phone's language to Japanese? What's hilarious is, so I am a Patreon of Matt's, and he does the bi-weekly Q&As, and I tweeted him and asked, I'd made a tweet and then tagged him in it. I could have just asked him on Facebook, but I tweeted and tagged him in it about switching my phone to Japanese. And in the Q&A that he released the day that I asked him of that, he actually addressed that. And so, like, I think that I probably will at some point. I just don't know when. And the reason is because at the point Sorry, I dropped something on the floor. At the point of switching my phone to Japanese, it would become less about me reading what it is, kind of like in English, right? When I look at my phone, I'm not reading phone call or contacts or something like that. You just know where the stuff is. And so I don't know if it would be beneficial past the first like a little bit. I mean, I could get used to the symbols, I guess, like the kanji that is used for it, but I just don't know if it would overall be like, I don't know if I'm immersing and doing what I'm doing now, I don't know if putting my phone in Japanese would produce results much faster, if that makes sense. Like, it's definitely something I've thought about, and who knows, I may at some point. Now, once I become decent in Japanese, I'll probably put it in just so, like, if there is something I need and I can read it, but I don't know, maybe at some point. How could I make my pop it and lock it more immersive? I have no idea. Right off. How many hours does MIA Approach recommend for immersion on a daily basis? Is there a number? Do you stick to it? Your thoughts? So the cool thing about Mass Immersion Approach versus AJAT or anything like that is Mass Immersion goes under the idea that you can do, like, he recommends no less than an hour, because he thinks if you do less than an hour, it's not really enough to like fully make progress in terms of like the immersion, like I guess with your brain picking up patterns and stuff. But so in terms of that, you can do anything an hour plus, and it's not that you can't do it with an hour less. He just thinks that if you're going to do it, you need to be able to dedicate at least that. And so the way that they actually split it up is that they recommend you do, what is it, no more than 30 minutes a day or no more than an hour a day, I believe, of Anki, because they want you to immerse. And then he actually recommends splitting close to 50-50 reading and like watching, and you can watch with subtitles and that counts as reading, and you kind of go from there. Hopefully that kind of explained it. It's way more in depth on the Mass Immersion Approach website, but that's just kind of where it is right now. I pretty much try to stick to, I get at least an hour a day. There are some days where I get a little bit more based on just the way my day is going or anything like that. But I usually hit between an hour, hour and a half. And then there's actually, like last month, I had like 7 or 8 straight days where I was over 2 hours of immersion. And so that helps tremendously as well, because it's one of those things. Like, the thing about Mass Immersion Approach is you can make it work for you. So like, I have a wife and a kid, and I don't have to be like spending less time with them, right? I can say I'm okay with an hour a day. The results that I'm getting are an hour a day's worth, and I'm satisfied with that, or an hour and a half a day or 2 hours, whatever I'm doing that day. But it also gives me free time to, again, play with my wife and kid, whatever we're doing. When my son goes to bed, me and my wife will watch TV, she'll go to bed, and then I have time to immerse. Or like today is Sunday, and so Sundays are pretty busy for me. I usually will do whatever I'm doing earlier in the day, and then I moderate Moses' stream, Laoshu 55,000. I moderate his stream, which happens at 10, and then after that, I don't know if I'll immerse, because episode 5 and 6 of the Last Dance from the 97-98 Chicago Bulls thing airs on ESPN tonight. And so, it's just kind of whatever I make of it. But I also know that I could watch those later, or, I could immerse more, or I know that I can just immerse tomorrow. It's kind of a whatever works for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Carolina says, hola, welcome. Bienvenidos. Mark Harris, are you using LingQ? How many words in yellow do you think you have by now in Japanese? Whenever I hear Kaufman, he has 1 billion words known. Yeah, I haven't actually used LingQ because right now I'm trying not to have too many things to make me quit, right? Like, I'm trying to not stretch myself too thin and think I have to keep up with this and keep up with that. I've actually not used LingQ. I've used LingQ for Japanese, but I haven't used it since I started Mass Immersion. And so maybe eventually down the road, like I'll probably start importing like light novels and stuff like that once my reading gets kind of up to par. And you're talking months down the road, like that's not going to happen this month. But I think that I want to be able to get there and read like light novels and have like not a ton of like yellow words, right? In terms of, and like for people that don't know LingQ or anything, yellow words are words that you've come across, or not. I'm sorry, not yellow words, blue words, words that I've never seen. Yellow words are words that you've seen, you just don't fully know yet. And so I want to be able to, I don't know, I want to be able to do that. Let me see, I can show you. Where's my link? I haven't used link in a long time. Let me see how many known Japanese words I have. I have 300. Let me see if I can bring this page over. Boom. Yeah, Japanese right there. You can see at the bottom. I have 342 known words in Japanese. And that's several months ago. I definitely know more than that. And there's words in Japanese that I know that I haven't seen on Link yet, right? Like I know like toire, and I know like just some of the different phrases for like hungry and thirsty and stuff like that. So but I will eventually get to it. That is something I want to do. I want to be able to. Gosh, man, I just went back to my YouTube studio. I didn't realize how laggy this was, or like how much the time frame is off here. But yeah, I think that I think that part of the other, and actually James Anthony, I just saw that comment that he just said. Yeah, part of the issue with Link for me as well is it increases my chance of dabbling in other things. And right now I don't, like, even though I'm a month in and I've not wavered at all from Japanese, and I've studied multiple hours every single day, or immersed multiple hours every single day, I still don't want to tempt myself. I think 30 days in is a great habit, but I also think that knowing my past and knowing the history and how kind of overactive my brain is in terms of, ooh, shiny new object, I think I'm going to stick with not using it for at least a little bit until once I get to where I can read a little bit in Japanese and stuff, I'll be more inclined, because I'll go in there and it won't be just like gritting my teeth trying to get through stuff, and it might be a little more enjoyable. How long does it take? Hold on, what is it? How long does it take, and what do you do to prepare before starting a full immersion? Yeah, nothing. I just, the April 1st, when I decided and made the commitment that I was going to stick to mass immersion this time, I turned on Netflix and I pulled up Erased, which I had already seen before, and I just barreled through it. There was no preparation or anything. I just jumped in. And that's, it's very foreign at first, and I don't mean that like in a sense of it's a foreign language. I mean, it's probably very rare that you watch anything and don't understand what's going on. Like, that's probably not a common occurrence, right? You probably generally watch stuff that you understand. So that can be a little odd. But again, the thing to stick with it is to find content that you enjoy, and stuff like that. And honestly, I'll probably from the future, like, I'll probably start recommending people watch Mario Maker videos in Japanese, because I mean, I don't know, it's just enjoyable, man. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like it. I watch a lot of NBA videos too. Like, I'm a big basketball fan. Probably because the team that I root for has, for the first time in 20 years, doesn't suck, or had for the past like 3 years. They've been okay, but there's a channel called Timeout that it's one of the guys that does videos for it is a guy named Bomba Mentality, which I actually sent him an Instagram video, and I was like, hey man, I'm using your content to immerse and learn Japanese. He was like, hey, the NBA helped me learn English, and that's what I did. I just watched the NBA. So I love stuff like that. But just finding something you enjoy, man, is so, there's going to be something you enjoy. The benefit of Japanese versus almost any other language, Japan and I know that a lot of other countries do, but in terms of it being readily available, like, Japan probably produces the most media that goes out that's not like English, right? Like, America, we have all this stuff, but like, man, it's just so, like, there's so much media in Japan. Like, even if you, I don't know, there's something for you, right? Like, I didn't even get it. I just got into manga. I never liked manga, and I've loved Japanese. I didn't like anime, and I love Japanese, and it's because of the other content they produce, because they produce so much. ¿Hablas japonés? Y si lo hablas, podrías decir algo en japonés. Si hablas, podrías, could decirse algo, something in Japanese. Let's see. I mean, not. The problem is I can recognize it a lot of stuff, but the only things I can say would be like, stuff about like, where is the bathroom, right? Like toire wa doko desu ka? Like something like that. So I'm not at the speaking level just yet. My main concern is being able to recognize what is being said to me. Link is so full of temptations to dabble. Everything you click on your language, you see like 30 flags. Yeah, and that's exactly it, man. I had to take those temptations away. I do love Link. That is one thing. I don't consider Link the typical gamification app. So, anybody here studying Portuguese? Not sure. Es que todavía está aprendiendo. What happened with your Greek on Link? Did you stop? Did they get mad? So I don't think so. I actually talked to Eric the other day. He asked if I wanted to be on a live stream tomorrow with Steve they do like their Link meetups. But unfortunately I work and I couldn't make it happen. I'm going to try to make it happen in the future. But I don't think I'm mad. I think Eric knows that I go back and forth on stuff. And even when I approached him about doing Greek, he was like, no more Japanese, and I was like, man, whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully that's not like a burned bridge or anything. But it's very rare that I get the sensation and the feeling that I have right now in language learning, and I didn't want anything messing that up. My big problem with MIA is I always want to put words or sentences in Anki or look words up, but it takes too much time and is painful. How do you think you choose what to pass and what to take? Sure. So what I do is exactly what I said earlier, in terms of like I watch, and if something pops out at me, I look it up. And the way that I do that, I don't have my computer on me or anything. I use... hold on, let me pop because it'll be so long before I see. Let me make sure it comes up on here. This app right here, this red one, it's just called Japanese. You click on it, you type in a word, like let's say I'm looking up Maji. So right there, Maji, it'll give you multiple readings. You can fill by the context what it is, like the one I was looking at was like seriously, not joking, whatever. Click that, and then I will hit this button over here. And then boom, I made a tab for Immersion, like a folder, and then I can go back and put stuff into Anki. I don't do these sentences and stuff like that, and whatever. And in terms of what words you pick, it's kind of up to you, right? The words that I pick right now are literally the words that say, "Hey, pick me," right? Like, oh, I was cutting people's pictures off. Let me move that back over. Like it's it's one of those things where it's like. If you've been doing Immersion, like you may know what I'm talking about. Like there's some times when you just hear a word and it jumps out at you. That's what I write down. Like I was in the beginning for the first couple of days. I briefly touched on this in my MIA 1 month update, but I was stopping purposefully and just writing down anything, right? I was like, oh, this would be a cool word to learn. I didn't even really understand it, and I didn't even understand where the word started and stopped at that point. And I was writing it down for no reason. But now the only words I look up are words that I hear crystal clear, plain as day, which actually Matt doesn't recommend because a lot of beginners, you'll think that you hear a word and it's actually not. Again, I'm not your normal beginner. I've had experience with Japanese for roughly 10 years, so I just don't know anything, if that makes sense. But I have about 10 years of listening, but it's like music and stuff. But I have heard enough of the language to where I can start picking up stuff, so... Hopefully that helps. Should not even try to take things into Anki. No, take it into Anki, man. I mean, that's, I know some people like it and some people don't, but I'm going to. I'm going to start putting stuff in Anki. I just didn't do it a lot in month 1 because, again, like I have a bad habit of starting stuff and not sticking, and it's because I put too much on myself. So in month 1, I didn't even want to try to do that with Anki because I knew it would be an additional step, and then I wanted to build this habit first, and now this month I build a couple of habits, and each month I'll build like a new habit. Have you been doing the whole I+1 sentence card thing? I've only found out about AJET MIA through your channel, but before that learned through Immersion. Yeah, no, I tried in the beginning, but unfortunately like my vocabulary is so limited at that point anyway that I+1 sentences were not something that I ever really came across. So hopefully after adding a little bit of vocabulary, I will be able to do that because I think that those are the best. I think that It's the best way. That's a great point about the amount of content in Japanese. I dabbled with Ukrainian because some of my coworkers are in Kiev. Kiev? Most content is in Russian. Hard to find a lot of Ukrainian content. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, if you have an interest in it, it's going to be more. It's going to be something that you want to stick to just because you have interest. Being able to talk to your coworkers may be enough, but in terms of like immersing, like I find some of the languages, right, just super super hard. When I dabbled in Afrikaans, like I couldn't find anything. Which Lindy has a ton of stuff on her channel or on her website about like resources and stuff in Afrikaans, but like I couldn't even really find like a PDF for any. Like I was even willing to buy Harry Potter in Afrikaans, but it was like $170 to get it here. But you know, it's just hard. But in Japanese, I mean, I could probably Google Harry Potter PDF right now and find it. Why did you pick Japanese? This may be an obvious question, but there's so many languages out there, so why Japanese instead of Chinese or Spanish? Spanish would be 3 times easier, just curious. Sure, so brief history in 2000, well, all right, I say brief, but just be forewarned when I say that. That doesn't mean anything usually. So in 2009, I was sitting at my house, and I was like, I'm going to learn a language. I think I was watching a movie at the time, some Japanese movie, and I've always been interested in Japanese culture, but not because of anime and manga. It's been because of their movies. Like I love like Battle Royale, and I love like all the stuff that Takashi Miike does, and I love a lot of like Seven Samurai and a lot of that stuff. I love a lot of Japanese film, and I've mentioned this probably every time, but I will never not go a second without mentioning my love of pro wrestling. But I love pro wrestling, and Japanese is one of the best wrestling scenes on the planet. So I was like, I'm going to learn Japanese because I want to watch these movies without subtitles, like, and all that stuff, right? And so I started with Rosetta Stone. I mentioned this on Lindy's podcast, on the interview I did with Lindy, but I went and got Rosetta Stone because, I mean, even people who didn't learn languages knew what Rosetta Stone is, kind of like people who don't even learn languages know what Duolingo is now. And I just kind of started on it, man. And that was why I picked Japanese. Since starting Japanese, I've learned Esperanto. I am, by technicality and by exam, a B1 Spanish speaker, but that... Me being a B1 Spanish speaker shows you why exams don't really mean anything, because I can't really speak a lot of Spanish. But anyway, so, and it just comes down to being interested in the culture. It's so foreign from American culture, as to where Spanish, even though it's different in terms of like Latin, like Mexican Spanish and stuff, it's still so ingrained in our culture. I wanted something that was just absolutely, completely foreign, just completely like otherworldly. You know what I mean? And so that was the thing for Japanese. That's why I picked it up. Which I did. I don't know if I mentioned this in my update video. I had to stop watching Japanese wrestling because I figured out that I got to the point where I was so enthralled with what was happening in the wrestling match that I kind of tuned the commentary out. And that's what I'm trying to do, is hear the language. Which I actually talked to Matt about, and he said that he, you know, maybe keep an eye on it. He said, but he wouldn't be necessarily sure. He said you may be subconsciously hearing the commentary, and you're building your subconscious as well. But I don't know. I think I'm going to play it safe for now and just kind of limit my Japanese wrestling. I agree about the media. European languages just dabble everything. It's sad. Yeah, Japan has so much media. It's crazy. Spanish is 100 times easier. When I was last learning it, I was in Costa Rica, and within 3 months was conversationally fluent. Yeah, Spanish is super close, man. It's well, my friend Evan, he spent a summer, because when he was going to school, I'm gonna have to have Evan on here so I can stop saying that and you guys can just kind of see who I'm talking about. But he learned, when he was learning Spanish, he was going to college, and he told his mom, he was like, hey, instead of getting a job this summer, since I'm going to be taking Spanish, he was taking a lot, right? Like he's living in Japan now, but he's teaching over there, but he went and got like his like master's, all kinds of crap. He's always been in school and stuff, and he was like, hey, instead of getting a job, I want to learn Spanish because I'm taking Spanish in school. That way I can kind of, it'll be like a little bit of a break while I'm in school. And so he spent 3 months just in front of a television, immersing, and learned Spanish. Obviously not to like, yeah, and exact, conversationally fluent is a great word, because he didn't know the ins and outs of it, but he knew Spanish, if that makes sense. So yeah, that helps. I think it maybe due to the fact that I am in the beginning still at the, oh, this is a cool word to learn, and oof, 60 plus in Anki that day. I guess it'll change with more MIA time. It does. It, you know, like I said, I mean, this month alone without, so take this into consideration. And I know that people fight back against MIA all the time. They say you can't learn if it's incomprehensible, blah blah, that all that stuff. I learned this month 20 words. Oh, hold on, I can tell you. Let me pull up my list. Does it tell me how many is in there? Yeah, you see that? Hold on, let me pull up my screen so I can make sure. You see this right here? Immersion. Come on, camera focus. Immersion. You see that? 21 words. I started doing this maybe a week and a half ago. And so I've learned 21 words by immersing with incomprehensible input without making a flashcard. These are just words I picked up. So 20 words doesn't sound like a lot in a month or even 2 weeks. But I learned that with no effort, right? They just came. Obviously, I looked them up because I was like, okay, the context here says, and I would look it up and I'd say, okay. And it's random words too, right? Like if I go here, like I learned, I guess a slangy thanks, which is azasu. I learned nanika, which is like something or some or something of that nature. Chikai, which is next time. I learned suka, which is nonsense of sort. The pronunciation on these are going to be terrible, by the way. I learned midaka, which is Japanese rice fish, which I actually learned from Come to Japan on his YouTube channel and whatever. And then I konkai, which is like now or this time or lately. Mochi mochi, which is like a springy texture, or doughy. I learned that, or elastic, which I learned through Animal Crossing. Haruka, which is far, like a far away distant, remote, something of that nature. And then I learned kimochi. Kimochi, it's a long E at the end, which is good feeling, like a good feeling. Tanoshi, which is enjoyable or fun or pleasant. Oshare, which is actually a really cool word. It means like smartly dressed, like you're stylish, you're fashion conscious, something of that nature. Subarashi, which is like wonderful. I learned ore, which is not like ore, like I, but like ore, which is like, I guess maybe a more slingy like form of thanks. I learned onaji, which is like same or identical. Kaizo. And the reason I looked that up is because Kaizo is a form of Mario, but Kaizo is remodeling, which actually makes sense. I'm wondering if Kaizo Mario means that, like you restructured Mario. I don't know. Dame, which is like not good. Nagai, which is like a long distance. Kedo, which is like butt, like not your butt, but like, oh, I'm doing this, but whatever. And then obunai, or abunai, which is dangerous or risky. Like the point is, you can see it's just an eclectic, just ton of words from just all different regions that I learned. Now, could I replicate those if I needed to? Like, could I say them in a sentence? I don't know, but I can recognize them when they're being spoken to me. And that came with no effort in terms of flashcards or anything. That was a tangent. Sorry, guys. I don't even know where in the crap I am. But hopefully, oh yeah, okay, so 60 plus Anki cards a day, yeah. What is difficult about learning languages that aren't English or Asian languages is that is difficult to find interesting content or subtitles, TV shows, audiobooks. A mess. Let's see. French has actually, I don't know if he has any on his, let me see, not that. Let me see here. Armchair linguist. I don't even know how to spell linguist. There we go. Is that not as, maybe it's tongue-tied blog. It's tongue-tied blog. Tongue-tied blog. He learns French. All right, I'm gonna see if I can go to his Twitter. Let me see, Tyler tongue-tied blog. Here we go. I don't know if he has any right off, but like I know in French, the last podcast I had him on, he mentioned a ton of like French resources and stuff in terms of like learning tongue-tied. Yeah, I would have to look at his site for more than just a minute, but yeah, he mentions a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, I mean, and I think if you search hard enough, you can find. It's just that with Japanese, it's almost impossible not to find content in Japanese because there's so much. Yeah, I learned Spanish. I'm pretty conversational fluent. I AJATed in Spanish for a year without even knowing it. I agree, Spanish-speaking culture is basically ingrained in our culture. Yeah, and I don't have anything wrong with Spanish. I love Spanish. I think Spanish is a beautiful language and stuff like that. I just think that, I just wish that, I wish that I had the focus and foresight to concentrate on Spanish the way that I have now. And I don't mean just since I started MIA, but just my love of languages. I wish I had that in high school because I think I could have stuck with Spanish class and done something. I think there's always interesting content. It's just hard to find what you like. First MIA days felt like being in middle of the ocean, completely lost in a mess. Yeah, I mean, it can be tough, and you kind of, honestly, at some point, right, because you don't even, the thing is, you say it's going to be hard to find in your foreign language, or in your target language. It's hard in English, right? I'm sure almost everybody watching this stream has at some point turned on Netflix, if you have it, or Hulu or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to watch something today, and you spend 30 minutes looking through shows, and then you end up not watching anything. So at some point, when you're immersing and you know that every second is precious, you kind of just have to just pop something and go and see if that 20 minutes you don't really enjoy, know not to watch that show again. It's kind of a hard thing to get in through. Petra, hello, finally managed to catch a live of yours. Welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. We're just doing kind of a small little ask me anything. It can be about anything. We've been talking about immersion just because that's what I am doing, and I just finished my first month of the mass immersion approach. But you are welcome to ask anything, honestly. Yeah, you were right. The thing with MIA, I think, is that we just need to trust it. In the backstage, it is doing its work. That's the thing. I think that's what's hard for people to understand about MIA is that there's not this thing, right? There's not this weirdly, there's not this program where you can see that you're going through, you can't see that you advance to the next topic in Duolingo. You can't, you can't go to a word count that you've learned on this certain app. It's just one of those things, but your brain is, designed to pick that stuff up. It's how we picked up our native language, and so why could you not do the same way to pick up a second language? And I think, I still stand by which I'll let you guys know. Matt is going to come on one of the live streams, so you can pick his brain a little bit more about if you have any questions or anything. But I've always said to him, if I was him, I would hate the world because he is one of the most proficient Japanese speakers, but yet he is one of the most constantly mocked. And I think it's because he doesn't promise that you're going to get fluent in a month, right? His thing is, if you're spending maybe 2 hours a day, you could be conversationally fluent in maybe 2 years. He sets a realistic standpoint, and people almost mock him for it because you have these YouTubers who are like, I learned Spanish in a week or whatever. All right. I guess it's because I come from English. In English, there's so much content. It doesn't have an end. English is my language too. And it's been difficult for me with French, but I found some stuff. I know in French there's amele, which is really, really cool. And stuff like that. MW3 Miners. Is it bad? What is your native language also, Emily? Just out of curiosity. I just always assumed you were Castellanos. I'm assuming Spanish. MW3 minors, is it bad to learn languages with the goal to profit off of it? I mean, you can use whatever you want. The problem with that is what Oryx Gaming said, and that is that I always had this plan of learning Spanish because I could get paid more where I work. That, I don't know, it's hard to keep that motivation. Like, I mean, money is cool, but like, man, if you don't love it, it's language learning is hard. Like, and it's hard to, you can make yourself do something, but it's really, really hard. So I don't know. I mean, do whatever you like, but it's probably gonna stay. It's gonna be hard to motivate you because you're like, I have to do this, but I could totally be playing this game, or I could be watching this TV show, or anything like that, you know. So it can definitely be a little tough. Emily, yes, I'm Mexican. Spanish is my native language. Cool. I may if you send me something on like Twitter or something, I may try to do like would you be interested in helping me with some like speaking practice and stuff, just out of curiosity? Nobody can learn a language in a week. You learn something new every time you study it. Yeah, there was actually I can't remember what it was. Somebody said a word earlier. Emily said a word, which is okay. So here's what's hilarious. So Emily is not a native English speaker, and she used a word on me in this exact chat that I had never heard before. I mean, maybe I have in passing, but when I read the word, if she didn't put the parentheses by what it mean, I would have had to have looked it up. Dude, she used collocations. So yeah. So I just had someone who English is their second language teach me a word. You learn stuff every day. I mean, it's not the only reason why, but it's one of the main reasons. If you have a tie to the culture, if you have an interest in the culture, the media, the people, the food, all the stuff that surrounds it, but you also want to make money off of it, you'll probably be more inclined to. I'm just saying, like, the way that it was worded, like, if that was your core goal, it would be really, really hard. So, was that what it was? Yeah, collocations, which is, where was that at? Expressions that have a unique meaning. Maybe I'll have to drop that into conversation one day. Have you recently been seeing Kat's uploads on YouTube? If so, what's your thoughts? Are you a Patreon of his? Sure. I saw that Katsumoto was making videos again. I haven't watched them, but it's not because Facebook message. Okay. I was just making sure that wasn't my wife telling me that she's on her way home. I saw that he was making videos. It has nothing to do with it being Katsumoto. It has everything to do with, I don't watch a lot of anything anymore because most of my time goes to Immersion. I try to watch some of the key people that I enjoy, and it's because they make videos. Not sparingly enough, but they don't make like videos every day or anything. And like, so I would rather give 10 minutes of my time to my friend Luke Truman, who makes YouTube videos, or Aaron from Fingtam Languages, or I watch Lindy's videos, obviously Matt vs. Japan. Like, I try to watch those because if I watch, one a day or something like that, it's good. And then I try to spend the rest of my time, I try to spend the rest of my time with the language that I'm studying. So I'll probably check out some of what Katsumoto's doing, because I mean, regardless of people's thoughts on him, I mean, I'm always interested in what people are doing and saying, and being as someone who read the AJAT, some of the AJAT stuff within the last few years, I don't know, I would be interested just to see where he's coming from. I am not a Patreon of his, though. I'm a Patreon. I have two Patreons, and that is Matt vs. Japan and Chad Zimmerman. Those are the two Patreons that I have. Thoughts on learning languages with barely any speakers? Scott Scalick only has 50,000. I think if you have an interest in it, you should do it. I think that preserving quote unquote endangered languages or something like that, I think is a fantastic idea. I think that I think it's a good idea. And again, if you have any interest in it at all, that's all you need. Because I will tell you, and I made a video recently about this. You may think I'm going to learn Chinese because there's tons of people that I can speak to, but I promise when you go out to speak to somebody, unless you're extremely extroverted, man, it's hard to pull the trigger on that. It's hard. I failed twice in the same day, and that's when I was like, all right, I've got to change my approach here. Even though I studied English for 14 years, I still find myself stumped by some sentence structures. Dude, English speakers find themselves stumped by some sentence structures, so don't feel bad. I've been studying for some time, know a lot of words, grammar, but was feeling like crap, not improving. With the immersion, I started to actually make that knowledge like snap in place and stick. That's the thing is, there's a difference in hearing a word by itself and hearing a word in context in a sentence. And hearing it in that, and especially seeing it, you have kind of a mental image to attach it to as well. I think people should immerse more. Even if you're not going with the mass immersion approach, I think that you should interact with your native language, because at some point you're going to need to hear it, right? Even if you don't want to immerse as your main thing, at some point you're going to talk, and instead of having to constantly ask the speaker to slow down, you will have fine-tuned your ears to be able to hear it. A few years ago, Oryx Gaming said a few years ago, I tried to learn German just because living in northern Italy, I would get paid more. Didn't work out. Now my approach is focused on being able to read about German history and literature. Yeah, man, that sounds super, super, super cool. That's, I think, ultimately one of my biggest goals, and this is like way down the road. I want to learn about Japanese history, but in Japanese. Like, I want to read about, all the just ancient culture and stuff like that, but I want to read it in Japanese. And I know that is it's kind of like I wanted to read Zamenhof's biography in Esperanto, because it's like the ultimate, like, you're reading about the guy that created it in the language that he created. That's kind of what I want to read about in Japanese, and maybe sometime down the road. That's the thing is, I'm now, like, I'm no longer kind of under this weird fantasy of, man, in 3 months I'm going to be so fluent it's not even funny, and I'm not getting down on myself about things, because I know this is a very long journey. And that's what I want to do, man. I want to be able to read, and who knows how many years that's going to be, but that's what I want to do. Are words that tend to go together and have a unique meaning. Collocations. Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. I'm a bit shy, but I will get in contact with you on Twitter, though I have a fan account. Sweet. Yeah, just let me know. It's not anything pertinent. I just... I feel like I could really benefit from some Spanish practice. And it may be a while before I want to fully jump the gun on that, because I just want to spend all my time in Japanese right now. Playing video games can help a lot with immersion. I've been playing Metro Exodus in Russian. Yes, the menu is confusing, but it's pretty much the same I used to learn English. Yeah, I actually want to play... So, when Animal Crossing came out, me and my wife... Animal Crossing came out the last day that I worked at my job before I started working from home, and I really want to play. We almost bought a Switch, like another Switch for me to have a separate account, because right now we have to live on the same island and stuff. This is all Animal Crossing, but so I was going to buy a separate Switch, which we didn't, because not knowing what was going to happen financially just with a bunch of stuff, which fortunately my wife is a teacher, so she's being paid, and my job relies on internet economy, and that has not went anywhere, so we're still pretty good. So we're still making, but at the time we didn't really know what was happening. But I wanted to switch because my friend told me that if you put the language of the Switch into Japanese, the games will be in Japanese. And I want to play Animal Crossing because it's very, very basic vocabulary, and it's very child-friendly, it appears, which I've been watching people play Animal Crossing, so that's cool. But yeah, I want to play some games in... As a matter of fact, not to be this guy, but my friend Evan, he just yesterday started playing Ocarina of Time in Japanese, and he said that he had put it off for a long time because he thought it would be harder, and he said it's one of the easiest that he's played in Japanese. Lindy is great. Know you from her video. She is fantastic. Lindy, she's probably tired of me sending her thank you messages, but she's done a lot for me and my channel in terms of helping me grow and kind of gain a larger audience, and I will forever appreciate her for that. And she's a very genuine human being too. Like she's not a different person on video. Like, she's a very genuine person. I really, really like Lindy a lot. I would imagine that endangered languages are really interesting, but there's not a lot of resources. My experience with not a lot of resources is that sometimes that can actually be a blessing, because you aren't reliant on so many different resources, right? If you're learning Spanish, you may pop into Duolingo for a minute, you may pop into LingoDeer for a minute, you may pop into Memrise for a minute, you may pop into Babbel for a minute, you may pop into Fluencia, you may plop, there's so many things, right? What is that other one? Fluens, whatever. You may pop into all this stuff. But with an endangered language, or not, something without a lot of resources, you can do. The big issue with, if it's like a quote unquote endangered language or a language that doesn't have a large population, is finding native content. That would definitely be hard. Hello, Jonathan. How's it going? What is going on, Erasmus? Welcome. Going great. I wonder if you've ever tried speeding up or down in your immersion. No, I haven't done anything like that yet, because Japanese has such a wide variety of how fast it's spoken anyway. There are some YouTubers that I watch that speak not necessarily slow, but it's more understandable. Like Masuo Games that I watch play Animal Crossing. I can generally understand almost everything he's saying in terms of, like, I can hear the words. I don't understand him. I don't comprehend him, but I can understand what words he's saying. And then I'll watch a channel called Jackpot. There's like 2 or 3 channels associated with that, and they are just, I pick up a word every now and then. Have you ever thought of learning Icelandic? Sure. Yeah, I like stuff like that. I think Icelandic would be really, really cool. It's such a random language. I think that's what interests me. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have. It'll probably be a long time before I would even dabble in it, just because, whatever. But absolutely, yeah, for sure, I would like to learn Icelandic, like, in the future. Is your goal for Japanese to be near native level, like reading novels and being able to write essays and stuff, or just fluent? Sorry if you've answered this question already. No problem. No, never hesitate to ask a question. Because I know, with these live streams, I've been streaming for 1 hour and 22 minutes right now, and some people pop in later than others, so I don't mind. I may give a shorter answer, like if it's something, but I definitely don't mind. I think that my goal in Japanese right now, long term, I really don't know, because I know that people are all about long-term goals, and I myself have been like that in the past. However, my issue is, if I say that my goal is to sound near native-like, I think that sets kind of this thing on me where if in 5 years I don't sound like that, maybe I let myself down. Right now, I'm sticking with short-term goals, and I will adjust accordingly. Like, sure, being able to sound near native would be fantastic. I just think that setting that for myself right now, 2 months, or just finishing a month in, I think, knowing my past, right? If you go back and watch my videos, or you don't even have to do that, you can literally just go back and read the titles of my videos. But like, you can see this progression of into a language. Okay, it's 3 weeks in, another language, and I think a lot of that is because I set these ridiculous goals. So I think right now I do. So what I will say is my goal is to read Japanese novels. In terms of writing essays, if I can type them, I'm fine. I don't really care about handwriting right now. I don't even really handwrite in English. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I think it would be really cool and like a nice little thing that I could write and like draw characters and put on my wall or something. That would be cool, I guess. But like, that's not a goal. But my main focus right now, even over speaking, is just being able to understand what is being said to me at 50%. That is my short-term goal, and then I will build off of that. Once I see kind of how long that takes, Once I get to where I'm comfortable with that, I will kind of sit back and reassess. And I know that you can set these long-term goals and then have middle goals kind of leading up to it. I just know that with the way that my brain works, man, I don't know if I can set that goal because I feel like that'll immediately put pressure on me. I have a very, like, I don't know. That's why I started doing a little bit of meditation too, man, because, like, my brain is just so finicky and, like, it's just, like, overactive and it's constantly going. I don't know. I hope that answers your question, hopefully. Or hopefully that satisfies you in terms of what you were looking to hear. But it's hard for me to pull the plug on near native just because I'm so far away from even being able to understand 2% of a sentence. You know what I mean? I need some practice as well in English since I've been learning French. I feel like my English is decreasing. I can notice when I'm writing, but I will get back to it. Yeah, you type well. I know that that's a whole different animal than speaking, but you type well. Will you learn Italian one day? Sure, I would like to learn Italian. If you remember at the beginning of the year, my goal was to learn a little bit of Italian, and I was waiting until we bought the plane tickets to start learning, and then things kind of went nuts. So, but yeah, sure, I would definitely like to learn Italian one day. How do you learn Kanji? I struggle with them the most. I use Matt's. Let me pull up the Mass Immersion. Let me actually, it'd probably be easier just to find the message he sent me on Facebook. Matt, there we go. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So I learned through Recognition RTK. Here we go. And boom. Okay, yeah, so it's just on Media Fire. So I learned via RTK, which is just learning what the symbols mean in English, which may or may not be controversy to some. But just to give you an example. Let me pop up in my Anki real quick. Go to my Recognition RTK. Boom. So right here, it gives you a primitive, that is horns. Click it, horns. It gives you all the information about it in terms of when it's used and stuff. Boom, so easy past that. This is a primitive I have not seen, but it's horns, and then that arrow on top usually means silling, so I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so this is tool. Okay, cool. And then it'll tell you, which I'm not going to click on whether or not I know this one or not because this is new, but it gives you the whole thing down there. And it's all in English, and I know that, I'm trying to get to a card. There we go. So right here, right? So this is tool, right? The other was a primitive tool where when it's used, it means tool, but you see right there, that's the primitive they showed you, it's tool, and then so that's actually I. But anyway, it'll tell you, and then it'll tell you down below when it's used with something, what it can mean, which this does not look it is. And that's how I learned. It doesn't tell you the pronunciation or anything. It just tells you what that specific one. So this one means tool, utensil, means, possess ingredients, counter for armor, suits, sets of furniture. Keep an eye on your tools while you are at the work table, right? And that's kind of the mnemonic to remember. Your eyes on the tool. So that's tool. Anyway, and so that's how I learned Kanji. And it works for me. I know, which I just started this new Recognition RTK, but like I said, I was like I was 530 some in, and I just kind of started hitting a wall. So that's how I learned. People don't like it. I find it works incredibly well for me. Parallel to Japanese, I had started to learn Korean, but now with the MIA, I'm more focused on Japanese. I feel like one language at a time doing MIA is kind of more efficient and pleasant. Yeah, I mean, you ultimately could do 2 languages if you want. I just think that one language is the best just because you can, I don't know. It's just easier. It's easier to, I'm not the one to speak. Anybody who knows me knows that I jump around more than anything, right? Like I'm a pretty notorious like jump arounder. So sticking to one language. The cool thing about MIA is from where I'm from where I'm looking and watching Japanese content, from where my YouTube channel is in Japanese, or I have the YouTube channel for Japanese, everything that I'm watching is recommended is Japanese. There's no possibility of me seeing Hungarian and being like, man, I sure would love to watch Hungarian, right? So, or learn Hungarian. So like that's cool. I think if you have the mentality to not jump around. I have such a track record. I feel like I felt like comments would come and be like, "Oh my god, you stuck to something for a month. What in the world?" That's kind of a joke, but at the same time, maybe it's not. Maxi, do you have ultimate goals for your languages? Yeah, I mean, like I talked about it just a second ago. I have short-term goals. Someone asked me, who was it? Aquaman asked me about like if I wanted to sound near native, and I mean that is a long-term goal, but I find that if I set a long-term goal, it's harder for me to stick to. So I set these little short-term goals, and then I'll kind of reassess where I'm at. I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, sounding near native in Japanese would be fantastic. I just know that we're talking like 5 years down the road. You know what I mean? And longer. So. Hopefully that answered your question. Pepo says, "Are you able to do passive immersion during work?" Yes. I fortunately work a job. I did start going back into the office again. It's just me, really. My boss will be there sometimes, but all of our desks are more than 10 feet apart. But I do listen to Japanese pretty much all day. Sometimes I'll listen to an interview because sometimes like the Japanese will just start kind of just, I don't know, it'll just going in one ear and out the other. So in order to kind of keep that fresh, I'll listen to an interview. Like if Matt's done a new interview, or if Lindy's got an interview with somebody, or Luke, I know Luke Truman, I think just filmed a video with Valeria, who I had on my channel. So I'm looking forward to listen to them speak. So I'll listen to some stuff like that. But then, yeah, it's usually passive immersion for 5 or 6 hours a day at least. About passive immersion, does playing some audiobooks or podcasts while you drive actually work? It's not that it works. It's the idea behind passive immersion, in my opinion. I don't know if this has ever been documented or whatever in terms of what people say. The idea with passive immersion is that it's going that way when you have a break in what's happening, a break in your stream of consciousness, right? If I'm working, boom, 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 and I'm processing these orders, boom, 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 and then I stop and I sit there for a second, it may be 10 seconds, 15 seconds, it may be a minute, but that's truly listening to Japanese. That's the thing with passive immersion, at least in my experience. So it's not whether or not it actually works, it's just kind of bonus time that you spend with your language. Because I passive immerse for 6 hours a day. That doesn't mean I hear 6 hours of Japanese a day. It means I may hear 15 minutes, I may hear 20 minutes. It just depends on when my stream of consciousness kind of ends on what I'm working on, and I get to just sit back and say, oh, okay, and then hear somebody talking for a minute. Merpaderp Yo-Yo, what's up, man? We're already closer. I'm about to 400 subscribers, and I'll pass the subscriber count on the old channel. Wow, that's a huge iPhone cover. Yeah, man. So I have a son. He's 3.5, and he enjoys playing with my phone. So I always buy the biggest. What are these called? What are the big cases called? Whatever the big OtterBox. It's literally said it on it. My hand was covering it. I always buy the biggest case because he drops it. I drop it. I just want to make sure it's protected. Can you solve those crazy cubes in your bookshelf? I can only do 2x2 and 3x3. Yeah, I can solve. The only one I can't solve is the Pyraminx, and I really struggle with this one. Like, I've looked up the solve for it, and like it's just really hard to me for some reason. I don't know why I can't do it. But yeah, I can solve all of them. My favorite one is the. I do like the 9x9, but it takes a lot longer. I really like the 7x7 because it's a little bit more than. It's a little bit more than the. It's a little bit more than the 5x5, but it's just really fun. So. I really like this one a lot. Yeah, man. Rubik's Cubes are my, other life outside of languages, man. I love these things so much. But yeah, I can solve all of them. I actually have a video on this channel, I believe. I'll have to go and make sure it's not private or something. But I have a video on this channel of me comparing listening and language learning to a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, love these things. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here we go. Okay, I found you through Lindy and feel like I can relate. I learned German on and off for years, but still don't feel like it. I can speak at all, probably because I've dabbled so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for jumping over from Lindy's channel. I appreciate that. Thank you. Lindy is fantastic. She probably has a lot better advice in terms of learning. But yeah, in terms of relatability, I mean, that's been me, man. That's my entire channel. Like, you can probably watch a plethora of content and be like, oh my god, this is literally me. Yeah, it's the dabbling. So I am 1 month into massive immersion for Japanese, which has helped tremendously. There's a video on my channel that somewhat blew up in terms of what it is, and that is the video where it blew up for me. The video where I talk about deleting all of the apps on my phone, and that has helped me because I go through just strict immersion. Let's see, I deleted all the apps. Where are we at? I deleted every app on my phone. 629 views. Yeah, so it's picked up some stream for me, some steam for me there. But that helped me in terms of not wanting to jump around because, you know. Any advice on how to stop dabbling? Yeah, that's what I would do, man. I would like. I know that. Look, I know that it sounds like I'm just a shill for Matt versus Japan. But like, hopefully you guys can see from my experience, because it works on anything. Like, the thing with immersion is it's not this idea of it has to be Japanese. It works for anything. The cool thing is Matt doesn't. There's no charge, right? You can support him on Patreon, but you can access the entire Mass Immersion website for free. Not having apps on my phone, not having Duolingo tell me every day that I need to pick this up, or not having LingoDeer to tell me every day that I need to pick this up, or not having, whatever tell me, like, I feel like that's helped. I feel like that's helped a lot. Like, I've kept everything that I do is in Japanese, and it doesn't have an alternate language, right? I'm watching Erased. It's a Japanese show, so it's not like recommending me some Spanish drama next or something like that. So doing the immersion thing has helped tremendously in terms of not dabbling. Let me see. I hope that helped. I use Chinese and it's similar to that. Yes, Chinesey. Yeah. So when I dabbled in Mandarin, I learned. I learned a little bit with some Chinesey, and I really, really, really liked it. Sorry, my wife was messaging me. I learned a lot with Chinesey, and you're right. That's exactly how it works. The only thing that I found weird about Chinesey is some of the characters were traditional and some were not, and I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really sure what the kind of criteria was in terms of them doing. I don't know. This is really weird, but I did like Chinesey, and yeah, it's just about the same system. I've heard about that guy who claims he can learn a foreign language in just 3 months. What's the shortest time you think it's possible to learn a language? Send a hug to Brazil. You are my favorite language. Well, thank you. I appreciate that a ton. So I think it depends on your goals. I think pending the language, you can be conversational in 3 months. But again, as I mentioned, even today, I had someone teach me on this exact stream a word that I've never heard before. So I don't think you can ever fully know a language. But, in terms of 3 months, if you are a native English speaker, you can absolutely have a conversation in Spanish in 3 months. I think that's no problem. And I'm talking about not living in Spain. I'm talking about if you live in America. I think you can work yourself enough to where you can have a decent conversation in 3 months for sure. What's refreshing about your channel for me is that you're in the process of learning the language and not already intermediate. Yeah, I think that was kind of... So when I started this channel, actually, that was my idea. All the channels that I watched were people who already knew, and you never really got to see kind of the struggle, right? There was never the oh my gosh, I'm struggling, I'm going to switch languages or anything like that. It was already people who were, essentially fluent in the language and just kind of telling you how to do it. So hopefully that can bring some, and I'm not just counting those at all. There's a lot of if you find someone who's genuine, that knows what they're talking about, whether it be Lindy, Luke Truman in his Cantonese, or Matt versus Japan in his Japanese, or any of the, like, there's a lot of channels that are reputable and still give good information, but you don't really get to see a lot of the struggles from some. I know Luke right now is going through Mandarin Chinese. If you're interested, you can go check out Luke Truman. He's learning Mandarin, and I think he just made his 9-month update, I believe, in Mandarin, but you get to see kind of the process of him learning. So yeah, I hope, hopefully people enjoy it. That's, and that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be something different. I wanted to show the process, because even if I get insanely fluent in the language, you can go back and watch the entire progress. Learning a language. Oh, that is a good idea. I'm going to make a new channel for the Japanese only recommendation. Yeah, that's the best thing. Like, honestly, one of the best things that I've done is I created that separate YouTube channel. I think I showed you guys this the other day, but I'll show you again. If you click here, switch account. Yeah, right here, man. Teji Nashi, which means magician, because I used to do sleight of hand magic. And I have one for passive. That way it doesn't count my time. Because the cool thing is, like, I don't know if you know this or not, if you watch YouTube, right? So if I click on this one, the reason I have two separate, I don't count my passive time anymore, but I listen to it on that because I don't want my time accounted. Because if you watch on YouTube, you can actually go to the YouTube app on your phone. You can go to settings. Let me switch over to that account real quick. Settings. Where's Teji Nashi? Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, if you go to your YouTube channel, oh my gosh, sorry guys. And so click on that. I was making sure it was on the right account. You can click the button up here, and then you can click time watched, and then it pops a graph, which I haven't watched any today, but it pops a graph and it'll tell you how much time you spent watching. So it's easy to kind of be like, oh crap, I've immersed for an hour, sweet. So that's one of the main reasons I like. And then I don't listen to my passive on there because I don't want to be like, well, this video was 15 minutes, but then I listened to 6 hours, but then this video was a little bit shorter, like any of that stuff. Whatever. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. Feels like seeing him climb his way through rather than climb the language ladder. Yeah, I'm glad that you all enjoy. I legit just found your channel through Lindy, and lo and behold, a live stream. Yeah, welcome, Lindy. Hopefully you're not too disappointed that I'm not doing Korean. We did that interview sometime last month, sometime in March. Oh, no, 2 months. We did it in March. And you can kind of watch that video and see that I'm struggling with a lot. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you guys are unfamiliar with me, it may not seem that way, but I was definitely struggling with a lot. And then just through some conversations with some people, honestly talking to Lindy about some stuff, and I kind of just found my way in terms of what I wanted to do. And I knew that I needed a new study pattern. And so hopefully you're not disappointed it's not Korean. I am doing Japanese, but we're over a month into it. So I hopefully you'll stick around, and hopefully you'll enjoy the ride. Came here from sign language video watching practice where I had it on half speed. You don't sound good talking half speed. That's hilarious. That's amazing. Anka mi trovas vinci Lindy, si estas mirinda. Yes, si estas tre mirinda. Si estas mojosa. If you were to play a video game Tomb Raider, in your larger... One more time. If you were to play a video game Tomb Raider in your target language, would you just do audio or subtitles as well? Probably, depending on how long the video is, probably just audio. You're asking if I were to do a video if I were to play the language... you're asking if I was to play the game in that language. I get what you're saying now. I thought you were asking if I was going to upload a video, would I just have it as the audio in the video or subtitle as well? You're asking if I were to play it, if the audio and subtitles would be... Yeah, so I've played Yakuza, and I have it in Japanese audio with English subs, but I find myself during the game kind of tuning the language out and listening to or reading the subtitles. So once I get a little bit better, I will probably just and once I get through it to where I know what's happening, I will probably turn it to Japanese and turn the subtitles to Japanese, so it's just pure immersion. What do you think about italki? I started learning Chinese through it. I think that italki can be beneficial. In my personal preference, or in my personal opinion, I think italki is most beneficial for finding someone to practice speaking with. I have the very controversial opinion that a native speaker isn't always the best person to give you advice on learning because they've never had to learn it. If someone were to ask me about English grammar, I can try to explain it all day long, but I never actually had to learn it, right? It's still instinctive. I may think that I know a way like that it makes sense, but it's still instinctive to me because I'm an English speaker. That's not discrediting teachers. There are tons of teachers who know. I just think that if you're going to use a native speaker and you have a native speaker in front of you, get them to speak to you, man. That time is priceless. Like, being in front of them and having that native interaction. That's how I would use it personally. I shouldn't be here. I should be immersing in Chinese, but good. Good live stream. This community has to stick together. I'm checking out now. Good stuff on the Japanese so far. Yeah, that's where I find it awkward and ironic of my YouTube channel, right? I'm like, go immerse. I do immersion. Here's tons of content. So I understand, man. Go enjoy some Chinese. Thanks a lot for your content. I'm a native Russian speaker and learned English to fluency through YouTube. Now I'm trying MIA for Japanese. I hope it works for Japanese just as well. It should. I'm a month in, and it's working great for me so far. Granted, I've off and on studied Japanese for 10 years. I know that there's a Russian YouTuber that I watched called... I had to look this up last time. What is that dude's name? Fluent Russian? Let me see here. Fluent in Russian, or Get Fluent in Russian, or something like that. But when he was talking about, let me look this up real quick. Fluent Russian, maybe? Be fluent in Russian. Why can't I remember that? I was watching his channel, and he said that the way that he learned English was through immersion and reading, little, what's the word I'm looking for? Transcriptions of stuff. So, yeah, hopefully it'll work out. Listening is the biggest puzzle to solve for me. I struggle a lot with listening. No matter how much I deliberately try to improve, I fail miserably. What do you recommend for listening? I think... I don't know. I would recommend just practice your listening, but also having like the video with you, right? Watch YouTube videos and TV shows and stuff. But I think the big flaw that people run into when they're a little bit more experienced is that they will have subtitles up, and I did this. So before I even got into immersion, I would do this. If I would watch something in Spanish, I would still have the subtitles on, and I would concentrate on reading. And when you're doing that, you're not listening to the subtitles quite as much, or the audio quite as much. And so I just think that I think if you turn those subtitles off and kind of force yourself to listen, I think that you can get better at it just because you're kind of forcing yourself and really like listen to them and like almost do that thing where you're repeating in your head. Like, I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's the way that I kind of verbalize it to myself, but like where it's almost like you're speaking. Like, how does that make sense? How do you say? I don't know. It's just like this mental thing I have, but like where it's almost like you're like saying the words as they're saying them, so to speak. It's a weird thing to verbalize, but yeah, I would just say, just make sure you're, just make sure you're listening. For me, when I did kinda MIA for English, I started with manga, text, and images, easy to understand your pace, then moved on to YouTube. Rasmus, I think you may need easier media to begin. Yeah, that's true. If you get demotivated by not understanding it, definitely pick some easier media as well. Like if you already speak something relatively decent but you're struggling, pick a little bit easier media. I'm watching random crap right now, man. Like, but I'm still kind of in that phase where, I'm enjoying everything I watch so far, so the listening isn't too bad for me. For me, okay, I read that. Do you still use LingQ? I haven't since I started MIA. I am going to, once I get a little bit better in reading, I'm going to probably start importing some like light novels and stuff. But I still have my subscription. But I I haven't used it. No. It's kind of like internally shadowing. Yes, absolutely. That is the best way to. That is the internally shadowing. Those, man, if I knew that you guys liked my Rubik's cubes so much, I'm gonna start doing all my streams facing this way. Yeah, I love some Rubik's cubes, man. I'm a big puzzle fan. That's why I love languages, because I look at languages like puzzles. Like I'm a huge puzzle fan. Like even the games I play on my phone are like puzzle games, and so it's my favorite. It's my favorite kind of. Which I don't have my 3x3 here because my son has been messing with it. I have this 3x3, but I don't know if you guys can even see that. It's like vaguely, barely, but yeah. I do love some twisty puzzles, man. I actually have at work where I work. I didn't show you guys this one earlier. Here's a random NWO wrestling figure T-shirt that was laying on top of it. At work, they made me this really cool one for my birthday. Both sides are blue, but the sides are pictures of me and my family and my son and stuff. My wife and my son. So that's really, really cool. They actually scrambled it and gave it to me, which was a hassle because I hadn't seen the images yet, and so I didn't know what the orientation was. So that was really really weird. But yeah, man, I am a massive puzzle fan. You can import your own books to LingQ. Oh, that's a question. Sorry, my intonation was wrong. You can import your own books to LingQ? Yes, you can. You can import your own material, and that is... Sorry, I'm trying to stand that NWO shirt up. You can import your own material and all that stuff. I find it's easier for other languages, from where Japanese doesn't really use spaces. It's sometimes the words will kind of pick up the incorrect spacing, so you have to go back and fix it. But yeah. Have you tried Asimil? I'm using it for Mandarin. I actually have Asimil for Mandarin. I've used it a little bit, but I know it's one of the like tried and true, like what most people are like, this is the absolute, like this is it. But I've not used it too much. Sarah H, that is cool. Thank you. Yeah. So, guys, I'm going to go for about another 9 minutes. I'll hit 2 hours. So anything else that you want to ask, let me know, and I will answer. And then I'll probably start dropping off because I am going to do a little bit of immersion here in just a few. Have you ever tried message retracted? Message retracted. Cool. So yeah, just get in. Thanks, first and foremost, thanks everybody for joining for sure. So yeah, like I said, I'll go for another 8 or so minutes now. Once we hit that 2 hour mark, I'll probably start wrapping it up. So anything that you want, like I said, it doesn't have to be immersion based or anything like that, but just let me know and I will definitely try to answer the best that I can. How does that work? Does it translate itself, or you dissect it on your own? Are you talking about Asimil? Asimil has the conversation in the native language, and then it has the target language, and then it'll have the audio that you can use to listen to it. I don't know if it has like a word-by-word breakdown, so I guess you kind of still dissect it by yourself in terms of which words mean what, but maybe I'm wrong about that? I don't remember. While listening is quite weird, I can't improve deliberately, then one day I somehow pick up and seems magically out of the blue to start understand. It happened for my English and Estonian. Yep, that'll happen. Like one day you'll just be like, whoa, my friend Evan, not to, whatever. Sarah, I see your question. Yeah, I'll get to that one second. He was on a train reading the manga for Slam Dunk, and he said that it just kind of hit him one time that he was like, whoa, I'm reading this, and like it just happened. Like it just kind of, he just woke up and boom. I'm off to Immerse. Have a good one. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed. LingQ uploaded books. Yeah, so it the way that LingQ works, it doesn't have a translation, but each word has kind of a dictionary form. So yeah, you kind of dissect it yourself. If if it has a transcript, you can import that in terms of the translation. But yeah, a lot of times there's not a direct translation, so it's kind of up to you. Which honestly, I don't mind. Like if you know the words, you can kind of make the meaning yourself. Like, which is what language is anyway. It's kind of like your own interpretation. It seems I am the worst learner ever. While not bad acquirer, learning being deliberate while acquiring being unconscious. Yeah, actually, I have a video called "I'm either the worst language learner or the worst polyglot" or something like that, and I talk a lot about that, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do now: is acquire versus learn. They're more loose translations rather than word by word breakdown. I love Asimil. Yeah, okay, so that's what I was thinking. I know that I briefly used it for Chinese. I used Asimil at the beginning when I started French, but I got bored. There was some vocabulary that wasn't useful. Name of cities that I don't care about. I did 40 lessons. Yeah, I think everything that you're using has just general stuff like that where, you'll run into like someone's name or something like that. So it can be a little hard to get into. I studied French intensively for 3 years in high school, and in my fourth year I lost fear of speaking, even though I still made a lot of mistakes. Yeah, I think your overall level can kind of depict your feeling of how to speak it. I think if you have it this big back, that's why, like, I know people are like, speak from day one, and immersing is so stupid, right? You can't immerse and learn how to speak. But if you don't have the words in your head, you can never get the words out. LingQ is great in my opinion. I love LingQ. Yeah, I haven't used it for Japanese in a long time, but I think LingQ is like my favorite platform in terms of like language learning apps. Thoughts on Pimsleur at the moment? I like Pimsleur. I haven't used it for Japanese because I've put full trust and faith into the mass immersion approach, and that's why I do little meetings with Matt every 2 weeks just to kind of make sure I'm on the right path and all that stuff. And I'm sticking with that. I really like it. LingQ is like training wheel. Okay, yeah, LingQ is like a training wheel for reading, especially when the level is not high enough. One can easily get overwhelmed with the large number of unknown words and looking them up one by one. No, I agree. It's actually going to be really odd because I haven't read a lot outside of LingQ in target languages. I did skim through. I've read Aaron's book from Think Tank Languages. I read his book on LingQ, but I've read it outside of LingQ in like a PDF, and it's weird not having that kind of like fail safe. But I guess it's just part of the process, like. Because that being able to look up that word instantaneous versus having to look it up on your phone. I also think there's something said for having to look it up is an additional time and an additional experience with that word. So I think it can make it stick more. Like if you have to look that, like I remember I learned the word blood for Japanese because it's chi, but like or chi. I don't know what the intonation is in terms of like pitch, accent, and stuff. But I had to look it up. I thought it was something else, and it was not. But I had to look it up, and I know that word now. Look at them one by one. Have you tried ReadLang? I have LingQ Premium, but prefer ReadLang. I like the Chrome extension and prefer the way it makes Anki exports. I have not even messed with ReadLang. I may check into that. I might look at the Chrome extension and see what happens there. Because I use Yomi-chan right now for like single word vocabulary exports to Anki. Like I'll just make my list on that Japanese app and then I'll put them in ReadLang and import them into Anki. It's like a super seamless process, but I might check out ReadLang. I think Matt once said, if you can't understand what is the point of speaking, communication isn't a monologue. I agree pretty much with that. And maybe that'll be the difference. Maybe people start leaving my channel when I say that. But, and I don't want that to happen, but I agree. Because there's so many people who are like, if you don't speak, you can never learn to use it, right? And I agree with that. But if you don't have the backlog of vocabulary in my head, or in your head, what are you speaking? If you know 30 words and you can speak those 30 words, you're very limited. But if you know 2,000 words and you're just starting to speak, you're still able to be like, oh crap, yeah, there's that word. Like, it might take a lot to get it out of you, but you have that backlog of vocabulary. I'm working through Harry Potter in Arabic. I would never be able to do it without LingQ. Feels great once you start working through native material. Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, I even though I've not been using LingQ because I've been kind of just gung-ho on what I'm doing, I still find it to be one of the best softwares out there. I tried Learn with Text, which is a free source software that does basically what LingQ does. I have a Japanese software called Japanese IO, and that seems okay. Learn languages with Netflix, you can export all that stuff, and that seems fine. But I don't know. Yeah, I do want to eventually read books. The big thing with me and kind of steering away from books are big things. Yeah, the thing from there's a difference in written language and spoken language, and I think it depends on what you're trying to get, right? I think the big thing is that right now, and my focus will shift as I get better. Right now, my focus is understanding spoken language. That's my biggest thing right now. I love Matt. His videos are so informative. I feel like I've learned so much theory from him. That's what he goes into that a lot of people don't. He goes into the theory and science behind language learning, which is probably why people don't like him. Because it's hard to refute what people refute what Matt says, but it's hard to refute it because he has scientific evidence. I don't know. If you like Matt, though, I'm gonna try. I don't know. We're trying to see when his schedule's free. He's gonna do a live stream with me, like one of my live interviews. So, let's see. I don't know enough Russian to be able to read this. Hold on, I'm gonna translate what you're saying here. Translate. And detect language, English. Let me write in Russian. We are on the Polyglot channel. I'm definitely not a polyglot. What are your first steps in learning a new language? Yeah, in the past, it's always been to use applications and stuff just to get familiar with the vocabulary. That's just what I've always done. So it's hard for me to say, it's hard for me to say what, because I've never really made it past that. That's what we're trying to do with Japanese, is to see how much further I can go past that in terms of just advancing my language skills. But in the past, if I was learning an Asian language, I would use Lingodeer. If I was using or learning, a Romance or any Latin-based language, I would try to use a little bit of Duolingo or something like that. But who knows? Down the road, I want to kind of test MIA from scratch on something, so I probably will. It's just I know that that's going to be a long time in the future because Japanese is just the main focus right now, and will be for a long time. I've never been so sure of that. How long? Let me go look at my videos here. Let me see how long I did French. Videos. Oh God, where are we at? The last chance, I think it was sometimes last year. Let me go a little bit further past. French. Yeah, so French I made it 3 weeks. And we are a month and a couple of days into MIA. What just happened? Oh, because I went to the next page. Okay. I use Learn with Text too, but LingQ is just better if you have the money to pay for it. Yeah, I like LingQ. And I like supporting Steve Kaufman. I don't mind supporting any of the people that aren't just trying to, because even Steve, people will be like, how do you learn? He'll be like, well, I use LingQ, but if you're not looking to do that, you can do this. So he's not just trying to, is uploading books on premium, and do you find PDFs online or Kindle? How does that work? So there is a way to get Kindle books onto LingQ. I don't really know right off. Sorry for asking. No. I've never hesitate. Oh, Alice, sorry, I missed your question. I will go. Let me answer Sarah's question. I'll go back to your question. So, you can get Kindle books, like a PDF of them. I don't really know how. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on it. I've kind of looked into it, but I never, never. So I'm gonna make a Japanese Amazon account so I can buy Japanese books, because America doesn't really have those readily available, and I don't know why. I'm trying to make sure that one. But so I'll probably do it then. So I'll have a better understanding then of how to do it. But as of right now, I do not have that. I don't know how to do that. You can look that up. In terms of finding PDFs, yeah, I mean, if you just Google it, that's kind of on you in terms of doing this or doing that. But yeah, sorry, my wife is on our way home, so we'll start wrapping this up now. Get your final questions in. Because I'll be jumping off here in about 5 minutes. So yeah, hopefully that answered. But yeah, it's you can somehow you can export Kindle books to something to save to something. I've just never looked too far into it. Do you revise vocabulary? Use lists? I know a lot of people hate it, and I am curious to see what you think. So my stance in the past has always been to try to find a frequency list and just learn it. My stance now, because this is just how you change over the course of time, is I learn words that I hear in the content that I am immersing in. Because if I'm immersing in it and I'm hearing it and it's enough to stick out to me, then I've probably heard it enough to be, need to learn that. It's kind of a hard thing to explain. Like even when I explain it, I'm like, I don't think people really are grasping what I'm saying. But it's one of those things when you start immersing in stuff, you'll know what I'm talking about, because at some point you're just going to be sitting there and there's going to be a word that just pop, like for no reason at all, you're drawn to it. I can't explain that why, but that's the vocabulary that I learn. So I don't use vocab lists anymore, no. And like I said, I'm going to start making my own vocabulary list, but it's with words like that. But like I said, this past month, I did not concentrate on vocabulary at all. This past month was concentration on kanji, and it was concentration on concentrating on just immersing to be able to actually fully be able to hear the language, get more exposure to the way the language sounds. And I learned 20 plus vocabulary words just doing that. So I would love to talk to Matt one day, but I don't know what is the best way to get in touch with him. Is it Discord or you contacted him? So I'm in a precarious situation. It's hard for me to say. I'm friends with Matt on Facebook. I don't know what the best. Probably massimmersionapproach@gmail.com would be the easiest way to get in touch with him. But yeah, I'm friends with Matt on Facebook, so I don't really know how to answer that. I do pay him for lessons because I think it's, it wouldn't be fair of me to be like, hey, use your time that you could be getting paid to, use your time for free on me, if that makes any sense. But yeah, but if you have questions for Matt, keep an eye out on my channel because he's going to do a live stream with me. Calibre for converting ebooks. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there you go. I never keep up with programs like Anki. I wonder what's the best alternative to Anki. Probably Memrise is the most known. I'm sure there's other SRS systems, but Memrise is probably the most. And Quizlet. Yeah, why did I forget Quizlet? I actually prefer Quizlet. It's just, now that I've gotten more so into Mass Immersion and like the MIA add-on and all the stuff that they've done for customization, Anki's pretty solid. Caliber for converting ebooks. Huh? Oh, you must have said something differently. Sarah H. Matt was here the other day. Yeah, he jumped in. I didn't expect, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I did not expect him to jump into one of my streams. But I had sent him a message that I had sent a bunch of people to the MIA website, and so I don't know if he was like, cool, let me go check this out for a minute. But yeah, he is going to do a live stream so we can answer a bunch of questions. All right, guys, if there's one or two final questions that come through by the time I finish saying what I'm going to say, I will answer those and then jump off here because my wife will be home in just a few minutes. Thank you guys for joining. My gosh, man, never in a million years did I imagine I could go 2 hours and 10 minutes and never have a pause. Like, with people conversing. It's super cool. I'm super happy all of you are here. I hope you all are enjoying the content and things of that nature. Live streams are going to continue as usual with guests. I have one coming up, I believe, Tuesday, I think. But keep an eye out. I will try to make that, make videos as fit in terms of that. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, man. It really does. It does really, really mean a lot. I'm in that because I like to learn intensively. I can easily get overwhelmed with the number of reviews. Matt and MIA suggest not to learn more than 20 cards per day. Yeah, and I'm doing 15 kanji and 5 new words a day, what I find via Immersion. What's your fluency goal now? My goal now is to be able to understand over the course of the next, I don't know how many ever months, 6 months, maybe a year, I don't really know, but I want to be able to understand between 40 and 50% of what is being said. Not actually any terms of speaking. I just want to be able to understand what is being said to me, and be able to understand what I'm watching. Alice Arnaud, bye. Thank you. But I want to try to learn much more than 20 cards per day. Yeah. Well, the thing is if you, I promise, it doesn't make any sense. I know, but if you immerse, you gotta just trust me. You will learn extra vocabulary past the 20 cards per day. Like it's hard to explain, but you will. I promise. Like I said, I learned 21 words this month without making a single card and without even concentrating on the idea of doing that. And I learned. I will try to catch your stream with a guest, but because of the time zones, it can be difficult. I understand that. I know, man. 9 p.m. just happens to be the time that works for me here. So, thank you for just even, thinking about that. You can always watch them on delay. I know that you won't be able to say stuff, like you won't be able to interact, and that's part of the live stream. So, I understand. But you can always leave your comments on those videos, and I will definitely respond to those. And usually whoever's on the video, like I know when Valeria did it, she answered several questions that came through in the comment section. Annyeong hai kaseo. I think Annyeong hai kaseo. I think. Hopefully that's right. Bye, dude. Bye. Thank you for joining. With Memorize, I had 3,000 reviews one day, so I quit it. Yeah, I would not be able to do that. I struggled with when my Anki got to like 150, and that was because I was doing 30 cards a day. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining. I am going to end the stream. Follow me on social media at Seabolt Speaks, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Feel free to send me anything. I try to answer and respond to everybody. So thank you all for joining, and there will be another live stream and another video very, very soon. So thank you all, and I will see you then.